Hi YouTube, this video I'm going to give you my top 5 picks for Swiss Army knives in 5 different categories. Right, but first let's just go over the ground rules a little bit. I'm only going to include knives that are currently in production, right? Currently available knives, because I know people get mad if they see the greatest knife in the world and it's no longer available. So these are all going to be current production knives as of when I post this video. And here are but some of the contenders. Now, let's go over the 5 categories. The first category is going to be keychain knife, a knife to put on your keychain. The second category is going to be pocket carry knife, an everyday carry knife that you would carry in your pocket. The third category is going to be pouch knife, which is a knife that's large and heavy enough that you would most likely carry it in a belt pouch. The fourth category is going to be what I call a kit knife, meaning a knife that you would primarily have in a backpack, in a day pack, or in a little like by your workbench at home. All right, so kit knife. And the fifth category is going to be an outdoors knife, a larger knife, something you might use if you're a camper, a hiker, maybe a bushcrafter. So larger outdoors knife will be the fifth category. And the last thing you have to remember is that this is just my opinion. A person's opinion is not wrong just because it's different from yours, okay? A person's opinion is wrong if it's not really their opinion, like if it's a dishonest opinion, or if they're just copying some popular person. All right, and that's mainly for my younger viewers, just so as you know. No two people are going to agree on all 5, okay? But as long as it's an honest, sincere opinion and you're open to changing it if you get new information, that's a good opinion. The first category, keychain knife. This was very close. It came down to the Midnight Mini Champ and the Midnight Manager. And the surprise winner was actually the Midnight Manager. Why? You know, I carried the Midnight Mini Champ for years. And, but you know, in order to do this video, I wanted to research every single option. I didn't even know about this knife. It's not a well-known knife, but I just chose to investigate it anyway. And let me explain a little of my reasons. Now, the Midnight Manager has a small blade, mini scissors, a screwdriver with nail file on that side, Phillips screwdriver, bottle opener, wire stripper, as well as a pen and a squeeze light. The Midnight Mini Champ actually has all those same tools. Right? It has a nail cleaner here, but it has a flat head on one of the other tools, the pen and the light. Right? So the Mini Champ has every tool that the Manager does, plus 4 extra tools. So it really came down to, are those 4 extra tools on the Mini Champ efficient? In other words, is it worth it being so much thicker for those 4 tools? These are the 4 additional tools. You have a cuticle pusher. A cuticle is that part of your nail. You have a cuticle pusher. To me, not really important. You have a flathead screwdriver with ruler markings. As I said, the file on the Midnight Manager has the same screwdriver, so not vital. This is an orange peeler, sometimes used as a package opener. It's alright, but certainly not vital. Really, the only of the 4 tools that I think is quite useful is this little kind of forward tip blade. But in the end, you know, those 3 marginal tools and then just that 1 smaller blade was not enough to me to justify just it being so much thicker and a bit heavier. I would just rather not have those 4 extra things and have smaller, lighter package, and that is why I chose the Midnight Manager. Okay, in the pocket everyday carry category, this was a very crowded field. This decision was just by the tiniest inches, so to speak. Just really, there were many knives that you could validly have as an EDC. This is something that did not win. It's the Cadet. It almost won because of just how slim it is, how super easy to carry it is, but it just didn't have enough capability. The blade is nice, the 2 screwdrivers, but if I was going to carry something with so few tools, I would just be tempted to carry, like, let's say a Delica or a Dragonfly, you know? So it's a great knife in conjunction with some other stuff. Like I carried on a keychain with some other stuff, but as a standalone EDC, it just did not make the cut. This knife right here is the Victorinox Compact, and here we have the Spartan. I don't have a Tinker, but the Spartan is also representing the Tinker, because the Tinker is like a Spartan but with a Phillips there. All right, and these did not win, but they were so close. Here we have a Victorinox S16. Very cool knife. So close. It did not win. What did I finally pick? Another little known knife. This is the Victorinox S111. The S111 has a screwdriver, bottle opener, wire stripper, can opener screwdriver, a short clip point blade, longer blade, a reamer awl, Phillips screwdriver, as well as tweezers and a toothpick in the handle scales, and the blade is a locking blade. And how did this beat out the competition for me? I can tell people are going to be crying because it's not a popular or well-known knife. Oh my God, it's not what Nut and Fancy said. Look, man, these are my opinions, not anyone else's. So, all right, I already explained about the Cadet. Let me explain how it beat out the Spartan. It really came down to the length of the knife. Spartan is 3.5 inches. This is 3 1/4. So slightly less bulky. And the locking blade. I just felt the locking blade was quite useful. And that's really what it came down to. Just the locking blade, and that is slightly shorter. Very important in everyday carry. And also that has a Phillips in place of that, but that wasn't really a deciding factor. It mainly came down to it was a little bit shorter. And how did it beat out the Compact? Again, it's a little bit shorter than the Compact. The Compact does have scissors, but that being shorter, combined with having a locking blade, and also that having a reamer awl as opposed to this hook nail file, I just, those 3 factors just beat this out by a hair. If this was a 1/4 inch smaller, I would have chosen the Compact. And how did it beat this S16, which is pretty much the same knife, but with scissors and a little bit thicker? Again, it's just that this is thinner and lighter. Now, I know you're going to be like, oh, come on. You would give up the scissors on this just for something a little bit thinner and lighter? Well, you know, we're in the everyday carry pocket knife category. So actually, when push comes to shove, yes, I would give up the scissors to have it easier to carry. Because the scissors are useful, but it's not a deal breaker to not have them. And if you want to see that difference in thickness, this is the S111 and this is the S16. You see that, right? So, yes, if you're going to have an EDC pocket knife, I just think it should be slim, light, compact, and The locking blade is just gravy. So that's my pick, the S111. Third category, knife you would carry in a belt pouch. Another crowded field. What do we have here? Alright, this knife is the Explorer Plus. A ton of coolness there. This knife is the Deluxe Tinker. Another monster competitor. This knife is it's the number 23 by Victorinox, based on a Wenger design. Not a well-known knife, but very similar to the Explorer Plus, and it has a monster amount of cool things in there. Right here we have the Ranger. And here we have the Craftsman. And it's also going to represent the Handyman, because that just has a corkscrew, but it's very similar. Okay. And the winner is the Ranger. I chose the Ranger, and I'll explain why. You know, the Ranger has the knife blade, the scissors, the saw, and the file. Those big 4 tools. And you know, that's all I need, as well as the little tools on the pouch knife. That's really all that I feel that I need. None of these other three had the file. 2 of these didn't have the saw either. The Craftsman, it has all those and pliers, right? It has the pliers. And so why didn't I go for the Craftsman? I just didn't feel that the Swiss Army knife pliers warranted it being so much wider. You know, they had to add a whole layer for only that one tool, nothing opposite it. And I just didn't feel it was efficient in terms of the pouch knife. And also, if I'm super worried about pliers, I would carry a multi-tool. So that was the reason the Ranger won out against this. The Deluxe Tinker is pretty darn cool with the pliers and the scissors, but I just prefer having the saw and the file rather than those pliers. And these two have some coolness. These both have magnifying glasses, which is loads of cool. Right, this has the old style from Wenger and a screwdriver on it. And these have a lot of great stuff, but as I said, I really want that file, that saw, and the scissors, and you know, none of those had the full set, right? But this, it has everything I need and nothing I don't, and it's still a relatively compact package, right? So because it had the big 4 tools, and I draw my line at the pliers as far as what I need. You know, maybe for the kit knife I want pliers, but not for the pouch knife. Victorinox Ranger, that's my pick. Alright, in the kit knife category, something you would keep in a day pack, a backpack, or at your workbench at home. Again, we have the Craftsman. We have pretty much the monster classic that everybody knows, the Swiss Champ. And we have the Work Champ. Yes, the extra long. This has quite a few implements. And which did I choose? You know what? I chose the Work Champ. Yes, you know, this beat out even the Swiss Champ. Even the Swiss Champ, for several reasons. One, it has all the tools that I think are vital, including the saw, the file, the scissors, the pliers, and a large blade, 2 Phillips screwdrivers, and you know, many other small tools, a reamer. All right, pretty much has everything. The micro screwdriver. It doesn't have a fish scaler or magnifying glass, but I agree with them leaving those off because, you know, it would just be too thick. And those are cool, but not vital. Bam, right here. This is pretty much why it won. It has the big 5, which is what I would expect from a kit knife. Also, these are longer than on the Swiss Champ. The Swiss Champ has all these too, but these are longer, so the file and the saw, more efficient, and it has a locking blade, which the Swiss Champ does not have. And the larger, more ergonomic handle offers a better grip than the Swiss Champ does. And some of the extra stuff on the Swiss Champ I felt was not necessary and just makes it, it's not efficient, you know, too much weight and space for not enough payoff. Whereas this does not have any tools that I would deem superfluous. And when you're talking about carrying something in a day pack or a backpack or on a workbench at home, the extra length and weight of this does not bother me. You know, not in that category. As far as the Craftsman, I love the design. It's very efficient. Definitely no extraneous tools. However, again, if you're carrying a day pack or a backpack or have this on a workbench, you don't actually have to go this small. And again, no locking blade, and you know, the smaller, less ergonomic handle, it just, you don't have to go that compact for this category of knife. So, the Work Champ is the winner. The last category, the Outdoors Swiss Army knife. All right, we have the Farmer. We have the Adventurer. We have the Hunter. We have the Outrider. And this is also going to be representing the Hercules, which is the same knife. It's just that the Hercules has pliers. All right. And the Work Champ can be in this category too. All right. The Work Champ is very similar to the Hercules, but it has a file added as well. And of course is thicker. And also, I strongly considered the Trekker because the one-handed Trekker, I definitely watched a lot of videos recommending the Trekker, and I did consider that as well. But what finally won for me? Yep, the Hunter. The Hunter is my pick. In case you're not familiar with the Hunter, it has a plain edge blade, which is a locking blade, has a nice long saw. This is a combination bottle opener and can opener and screwdriver. Has a reamer awl, corkscrew, right, and a curved blade, forward tip, fully serrated. This has been modified, but it comes without a tip. For my uses, I put a more pointed tip on it. And it has tweezers and the toothpick. I chose this because it has the minimum tools that I think everyone would want. You know, everybody's going to want the locking blade, the longer locking blade, of course. The second most important tool out there would be the saw, both for striking a ferro rod and putting notches in wood and just generally working with pieces of wood. It was very smart of them to combine the two openers into one combination opener. That freed up one small slot, which they filled with the curved serrated blade. Now this is a gut hook type blade. This is slightly modified to have a point, right? Because I'm not going to use it as a gut hook, but yeah, the way it comes has a blunt tip, but very useful as well. They managed to give you the blade, the saw, and that fully serrated gut hook in just a 3-layer package. Oh, the reamer is also extremely useful. Now the corkscrew, I usually prefer a Phillips, but if you're talking outdoors, actually that pointy end of the corkscrew is quite useful for scraping things, right? So I don't mind it too much on here, but this is just such an efficient design. You know, compared to the Work Champ, look how much slimmer compared to my beloved Outrider. Still slimmer, more efficient. The Work Champ, as far as like just going camping or something, you know, I felt it was a little too heavy. I mean, if you're talking about prepper survival kit or like a long-term thing, like if I was stranded on a desert island, then yeah, I'd want the most tools. I'd want this. But most outdoorsy stuff is not going to be stranded on a desert island. So it's still a great kit knife, but when you change the category to just general outdoors knife, yeah, the weight and thickness just does become more of a factor. The Outrider, you know, I really love that it has scissors, very convenient. It also has a Phillips in there. But, you know, I just didn't think that those were essential, and I'd rather just have it be slimmer and lighter, and that's what this is. As for why the Hercules didn't win, the Hercules is like an Outrider but with pliers. More of the same reason, and also I'm not a big fisherman. I know a lot of people have said that they use the pliers for fishing, and you know, if I was a big fisherman, I probably would have chosen the Hercules, actually. I would have considered it more, but just for my needs and a lot of people's needs, the serrated gut hook, the saw, and the locking blade, I think that's all you need, and I just think it's very efficient. I almost went with this one, the Adventurer. It doesn't even have the saw, you know? But I thought, the saw is, for this type of knife, the saw is not optional. It's necessary, so this narrowly lost out. I know a lot of people were rooting for the Farmer, and really the Farmer is a great knife. I think what works against it is the categories are pretty specific. The Farmer has pretty much every tool that this has. This has every tool that the Farmer has, I should say. This actually has every tool that this has, and a few odds and ends. But what it really came down to is this has a locking blade. Farmer does not. This has a more ergonomic handle, giving you a safer, more secure grip. Farmer does not. And the saw and the blade on this are just a little bit longer. It's just more to work with. All right, so the Farmer is still awesome, but it's just the longer blade, more ergonomic handle, and the locking blade, and that serrated blade made this win out. And one thing that I am noticing, we might have to create some more categories, because I've noticed that there are some Swiss Army knives that are really great knives, these for example, but it's kind of like they fall in between two of the categories. So it's kind of like the format is against them. Like for example, this is a great, it's kind of in between keychain and pocket, right? It's like a lot of people would consider a little too big to fit into their keychain, but a little too few tools to be the pocket Swiss Army knife, but still a great kind of intermediate knife. Likewise with this, I don't know if you consider it big enough to be a pouch knife, or, you know, kind of like a mini outdoors knife, if that makes sense. So yeah, we might need some more categories, because there are a lot of great knives that don't really fit with the format, but, you know, so it goes. And here are the champions. Yes, now out of these, which ones would I recommend, or what do I think is most important, or you should get first? You know, not everyone has time to go camping or is able-bodied to where they're outdoors all the time, and not everyone has a job where they're constantly fixing and repairing things, but pretty much everybody has a keychain, so probably the Keychain Midnight Manager. I mean, this has a pen, a light, a couple of small screwdrivers, mini scissors, and like a little paring knife blade. Who doesn't use those? You know, pretty much everybody will use like a pen and a light and a little pen knife and scissors. So you'd probably be most likely to use the Keychain knife. Also, probably next would be the Ranger, because this just has so much stuff for such a relatively compact package that really, if you need more tool than this, you're kind of already going into the multi-tool category, right? So if you're not carrying a multi-tool, if you don't need a multi-tool, then this would probably have everything that you would need. So yeah, I would say the Ranger is pretty key. Okay, so these are my choices. You know, I'm sure that by next year I'll have chosen all different knives. No, I'm just kidding. The stuff I've said about these knives is still going to be true a few years from now, but other things might come to light. You know, other things might become more or less important to me depending on what I'm doing. New stuff might come out. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been We All Juggle Knives. I'm out.